am Zoe and I'm with Paranormal Extraction, and today, guess what? We have Britt, because she is going to tell us about her paranormal and supernatural stories. So let's get to it. All right, Britt, how are you? And thank you so much for coming on today. I mean, there was a little bit of chaos there for a second, but...
No worries, I'm doing well. It's always great to see you.
It is great to see you too, and today... I am so excited. It's Friday the 13th.
Yeah. Yes.
And I know you're really...
The portholes are open.
Yes, the portals are open. So why don't you go ahead and tell me I mean, you and I have talked about this before, a little bit, actually quite lengthy. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on in your home? Or what's going on around you, like just to get on the computer with you is crazy.
Yeah, no, my energies are always very chaotic around me. I have many, many energies that constantly visit, and a lot of the time it gets very overwhelming. I have one entity in my house that likes to break mirrors and glass and bang on things when he's aggravated or not getting enough attention, as I like to say it.
Wow.
He just actually broke a picture frame 2 days ago, and about a week ago actually broke out a piece of glass in my daughter's bedroom window. Wow. And it's double pane glass, and it was broken on the outside pane, but it broke outward, so it didn't break how it normally should.
Have you tried to do anything about this? I know that you and I have talked, and you've tried a lot of different modalities to get rid of this.
A lot of doing things like that just blocks them, and it makes them more angry, and it makes them more constant, trying to find a new way to get through. And so I've done basic things to help mellow them, because I do a lot of conversing back and forth, and I have for many years, of just talking to them and being like, hey, look, we're in the same space together. I'll respect you, you respect me. Let's go from there. A lot of the time I can get them to usually be pretty coherent with me and very mellow. The ones that do get very aggressive, yes, I do take drastic measures, because you will have from time to time some major entities that love to torment or get very angry and very pushy. And so those are the ones that I usually do blockings with, and saging the house and stuff like that. But there's other things to do as well. So I take measures naturally when I move into a house anyways to help block out any of the excess. But it doesn't always stop the portholes that are in the house. So that's a little harder.
What would you do? I mean, I know you talked about sometimes you sage, but if something's like really evil or bad, like you said, what would you do? You personally?
So I find realistically, saging is just one aspect. There's many things that most people don't realize, that mirrors bounce out. And that's why this one breaks glass, because he doesn't like to be bounced out. And they don't like their own reflections. So I put up mirrors in my house that face every door out, so that nothing can come in, and it bounces them out. And then I also do iron nails up in the top of the doorway of coming in and out of the house. And then we will also do a black salt around the areas that they're the worst, to cleanse the area and bounce them out as well. Sometimes I will even go so far as to put symbols where I know they are the most rampant to attack you. I'll put symbols underneath furniture or on furniture, or I've put them underneath mattresses. I've done salt circles just for protection for people while they sleep, because I've had multiple experiences where they just are very attacking, and they're very persistent, and they're very nasty sometimes, and very dark sometimes.
Well, it sounds
So
like
it's
you're
just a
doing-
matter of finding the right thing for each one, because each one is different, and each one has their own strength of energy that they're coming after you with.
Well, I mean, you sound really knowledgeable, and those are all the things. Now, your experience, like, give me an idea of, like, one that was really bad where you had to use these different things that you've been using, like the iron nails, the black salt, are they
Well,
sigils?
I had a poltergeist that was attached to one of my exes, and he was in the military, and he had really bad PTSD, and he had a very bad, strong poltergeist that was attached to him. And at night, when he would go to sleep, it would attack, and it would constantly keep him up nights so he couldn't sleep. Well, when we got together and we moved in together, it would even jump on the bed and do like sleep paralysis, where it would jump on you and actually like try to strangle you. And I would feel it over the bed multiple times. I felt it in the bedroom. I would just feel when it would come in. It was very, very harsh. And so I had to put a protection on the bottom of the bed, put a salt circle around the edge of the bed, and then also put crystals in the room to bounce him out so that I could keep him out of the room at night so we could sleep.
Wow.
And I also had one with my daughter when she was born that was very, very attacking on her and would constantly make her freak out and scream and cry when we would put her in her room at night to go to bed. She would literally come out crying and be like, "Mommy, the bad man is scaring me, and he's in my room." And she would point right to the corner, and that was the corner I knew he was in, and I could feel him. And I've had multiple dreams about him also fighting with me, saying he was going to try and take her. And so with him, I had to put protections on her bed and her crib. And then we also had to do a ceremony in the house with chalk and an egg. It's an old voodoo wives' tale kind of thing, to pull the spirit off of her and take him out of the house. And it was very, very intense, long battle with him for almost a year. And even I had a couple other high priestess friends actually try and help me as well, because he was very, very attacking and very strong. So it's been happening most of my life. I'm used to him. I'm around him a lot.
Yeah. So why do you think that they're attracted to you? I mean, have you?
Well, being an empath, we're the garbage pail.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
That doesn't mean that as an empath, we're also that black hole. We are an open gate for them.
Right.
We are an open porthole. And so they try to come in even through the garbage, and they try to come out, and they try to see what they can do. And they try to also come to us to dump their garbage.
Right.
And so it's very, very exhausting for an empath.
Yes, it is.
If you don't know how to ward off and stave off people like that and energies like that, because that's all we are, is energies. We're all energies. And so when we leave our body form, we still leave our energy around if we choose to keep that energy here. And so if they're angry and they feel that they were wronged, or they feel like they still want to be here, or that they deserve something, that energy stays, and they continue to wreak havoc. And if they're that menacing, they're going to continue. And it doesn't matter who they can get to, as long as they can get to somebody. And that happens quite often.
So
it's been...
Are you going to use any forms of protection yourself? I mean, in order to protect yourself?
I always have things for protection for myself anyways. I have symbols tattooed on me. I have my stones I always keep close. I have things like that I always keep very close to me, and I always keep things to help balance out things. And I have my rituals every morning to help kind of give myself my bubble, as I like to say, to help balance out things. But in the long run, I know what I'm here for, and I know that I'm here to guide and talk and try to figure out as much as I can to help them. And like the one that's in my house who likes to break glass when he's not heard, he will knock on my door in my closet when I go to sleep. and I can hear him knock, and I'll be like, okay, what's up? What do you need? What's going on? I know you're aggravated today. I know you want some attention. I'm here. Hi.
Right.
I acknowledge you, but I need to sleep. So I know that you need energy, you need some attention right now, but right now I can't give everything. So I'm acknowledging you and just telling you, please, go lay down, go have a good night. I'm going to bed, and I'll go to sleep.
If he's wreaking havoc like that, why aren't you getting rid of him with some of your rituals?
Because he's not really wreaking major havoc, it's just inconvenient havoc. You know what I mean? It's little things. And it's, to me, you gotta understand, I've had foster kids, I've had kids, I have animals. We rescue animals all the time, and a lot of the time it's their aggression that comes out and will break little things. And so I look at items as realistically just an item. I don't care about the item. It is what it is. And so those items, if they break, and I move on. And I go on to the next thing. I worry about the energies and the entities more than I do the material items. Do you understand? So To me, as long as he's not really that menacing, I'm okay with it. And that's what I've talked to him about. And, once in a while he'll get a little out of hand and I'm like, hey, you need to calm down. You need to calm down. And even my husband will be like, dude, you need to go. Like, I'm going to give you an errand. Go check on this person for us. You know what I mean? And so, like, it's kind of a little bit of a long-running joke in our household. Like, hey, we get it. You're aggravated. You're pissed off. You wanted something, obviously, that nobody is giving you. And I can't give you everything because your energy is here, but your body isn't. And I can't physically contact you on a constant basis to help you because you're not letting me. And that's it. So we are only as good as what we can do. And at the same point, I let them be the energy that they are because they need to also come to understand themselves. That's the only way they move on. And I'm not going to just immediately dismiss them and block them because in reality, would you want to be silenced? Would you want to be bounced out? No matter how much you're trying to connect to somebody, would you want that constant block? No. So I try to keep it open still to be open enough and just keep my boundaries simple. And if one frame here and there breaks every so often, now it's down to 1 to 2 a year, then so be it. I'll replace the glass. It's not that big of a deal,
Wow. Now I think most people would just totally freak out on this. I mean, the jobs that I've been out on, we're talking just little things like, a door shutting all the time where they see just a figure pass them and they want that thing removed. It just totally freaks them out. And you're so knowledgeable about all of this stuff that you just telling me your story about what's going on in there and all of the different modalities that you're using and how you're dealing with it is, you're right on with it.
People fear what they don't know. They fear the unknown. And so the immediate response to fear is get it away from me. It's that fight or flight. And I've been dealing with this since I was a child.
Yeah, that's right.
My aunt died before I was born, and she would come play with me when I was a child. And so I would constantly play with my aunt, and my mom would come in and see toys moving by themselves, and she'd be like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's Aunt Tammy." And she'd just be like, "Wait, what?" As I got older, I could see sometimes their death right as it was happening. I would literally connect to them, and it would literally, my niece died and she drowned, and the night that she drowned I was on a camping trip, and when she drowned I was out camping with friends and having fun, and at one point I literally connected completely to her, and I was sitting on just a picnic bench relaxing, talking to my boyfriend and a girlfriend of mine, and all of a sudden I literally blacked out. I flew back and I don't remember any of it until they were like, "This is what happened." And I literally just saw bubbles and a tree line and water, and that's all I could see. And I literally, when I came out of it, my boyfriend was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay? What's going on?" And I was like, "Something's wrong. Something's wrong. We need to get everybody together. I need to see everybody." And he was like, "What's going on? What's going on?" I'm like, "Somebody's drowning. I can't put it into words. Somebody's drowning and I feel it." And he was like, "Okay, let's go collect everybody. Let's make sure everybody's okay." So that's what we did. And we collected the whole group of friends, and I said, "Okay, guys, everybody's here. Everybody's okay. Nobody had any problems." And they're like, "No, we're good." And I was like, "No, something's off. Something's off. I gotta go home. I gotta go home." And he was like, "Okay, I'll drive you home." I got home at 6 a.m. She drowned at 4:30, and that was when I actually had my episode.
Okay.
And I walked in the door, and my mother had just gotten the call. And she was in tears, and she looked at me and she goes, "You have to sit down. Something happened." And I said, "It was Ashley, wasn't it?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "I knew it. I knew it." And she goes, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "She flopped down and saw water and was drowning. Did Ashley drown?" And she goes, "Oh my God, yeah, that's exactly what happened." And I said, "Yeah, no, she was meant to go, but I saw it, Mom. I saw the whole thing. I saw the tree line. I saw all of it." And she was like, "Oh my God." And then I ended up seeing Ashley after that. And Ashley would come and visit me at my house. And my boyfriend even would start seeing her. And he even would acknowledge her. And he would be like, "Hey, Ash, what's up?"
Right.
And I'm just like, "You saw her too?" But we don't understand. A lot of people get afraid of that.
Yes.
I embraced it because that was my way to connect still to that person. Right. And that was my way of being able to still be around that person. And so, excuse me 1 second, I blew my nose for a second. But so that was my way of still connecting to them and being able to talk to her. And that was actually great because I could help her mom with closure, because she would come to me and she would say things to me and she would still be there, and I could say, "Hey, look, Ashley said this to me. Ashley brought this to me." I was getting random things showing up in my house, and I was like, "Wait, this isn't mine. Where did this come from?" We had a random remote show up, and I'm like, "This isn't my remote. What the hell is going on?" I had a house key show up, and I'm like, "This doesn't match any of our locks."
Right.
And then her mom came, and I was like, "You know what? Something's telling me to ask her." And I finally looked at her and I said, "Are you missing your remote?" And she goes, "Yeah, why?" And I'm like, "Is this yours?" And she literally lost it. She's like, "How the hell did my remote get here?"
Wow.
Because nobody had been to our house. Nobody had been from her house to my house at all. But all of a sudden, her remote was at my house. And I said, "This is her validating that she's here. This is her validating that she's talking to me." And I was like, "This is for you. You need to take this back." I said, "And let me guess, your house key's missing too. Here it is." And she was like, "Oh my God." And she literally pulled it out and matched it. And she was like, "I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do." And I was like, "No, this is her way of saying, Mom, I'm okay."
Right.
That's it.
So you're a conduit then?
Yeah, I tend to find that I'm a kind of like their middle ground. When they can talk to me, they do. When I can connect easier to them, I do. Sometimes I can't always connect. Sometimes they're still blocking on me. But I can usually read pretty fast. And I've read people quite a few times just sitting next to me.
Right.
And been like, "Hey,
that's right.
You got this kind of going on right now." And they're like, "How'd you know?" Even my clients are like, "You're psychic." And I'm like, "No, I'm not really psychic. I just can read the energies that are coming around you." Yeah. And that's it. And a lot of people are afraid of that. And I haven't been, because I'm so used to it and I've been dealing with it my whole life. So after dealing with it my whole life, I can see the signs a lot faster. I have constant, I don't like to call it astral projections, because I don't feel like that's really what it is. I feel like it's literally just connections. I feel like it's literally, instead of astral projecting out, I feel like it's just that network of connections that connects in. And I feel like my connection is just very wide open for a lot of people. And so I get a lot of connections through, and I can relay the messages faster. And that's it.
Oh, so now I know that you're a tattoo artist because you've done all of mine. And so when I was in there, what do you have to say about me? Because I was a mess when I was in there. Oh my God. I don't really even remember, but I know that you were a sounding board for me, but I was just so into having the tattoo work done. And she did a beautiful job.
You know what it is I'm a tattoo artist, but it's more an energy healing too. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. That's why I call it therapy. I mean, I really stopped marking it as, just tattoo therapy, and it's therapy. Because a lot of people don't realize they're coming to me for energy healings, and they're coming to me to let out and spew whatever energies they need to get rid of. And a lot of the time, I see people when they're at their most crazy, chaotic times in their lives, when they're going crazy and they don't know what to do, when they're just lost and they're trying to find direction, all of it. And I tend to find that at this point, because I've been a shaman for years, a licensed in shaman, registered priest, the whole nine for years, and I've dealt with this lifestyle for so long that in reality, to me, every person that comes to me was meant to come to me. They were all meant to come to me at that moment in time for whatever they needed. And whether it be a small tattoo or a big tattoo, each one of them is literally just leaving their little pennies here and there of what they needed to drop, or they're picking up what they needed energy-wise to move forward. And like I say, it's kind of more like a gardener. I'm there to take the weeds out for people. I'm also there to help plant the seeds. And from there, they are the ones that have to make it grow. And either they make it grow or they suppress it, and then they keep coming back to keep getting the weeds taken out.
You mean like me? I kept coming back every week. I saw you for like a year, I think.
You were going through some stuff, girl.
I know.
You were going through some stuff.
I was there.
I remember you crying to me a couple times, and I get it.
I know. Yeah, every week for like a year. Woo. She did a beautiful job, by the way.
I have a girlfriend.
Hey.
She comes to me, she literally cries almost every time she's in my chair.
Now, okay, so if someone wants to find you, okay, if they want to have some tattoo work, where are you? Why don't you tell them that? Because I think you're the best ever.
Well, I mean, I travel across the country, and I do by appointment only, even when I'm in Las Vegas, because I'm here in Las Vegas full time. But I do travel across the country, and I do it by appointment only. But they can find me on my Instagram at Britt Senecal, BRITTSENECAL, on Instagram. And they can follow my page there, and it has my cell phone or my email address on there.
Okay.
Or, they can always look me up when they come to Vegas. It's not that hard on it, between Google and Yelp and everything else.
Yeah, well, you know what? They can also contact me, okay, by email after
or they
the
can
show,
always
and I can tell you how to get a hold of her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it looks like you're hosed up again. There, you're back. You're back. Yeah, you're back. Hello. It must be that man. It's that man that's breaking the mirrors. That's who's in the room.
No, it's a couple this week, actually. I mean, he's here. I feel him, but he's always here. I've got quite a few this week that have been around me, just because they know that it's been a little draining. I've been floating a lot of energies for a lot of people with everything that's been going on with this whole country being in upheaval.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that their energies are in upheaval. So I've been trying to help ground as many as I can. And so during that time,
thank you.
Been very chaotic, but I have a lot of my guardian angels around me, so they're always here, and they're always definitely like kind of taking hold and letting me know they're here, just to say, hey, you're good, keep breathing.
So you're a healer and a ghostbuster.
I guess you can look at it.
A healer and a ghostbuster. I thought I saw that car. I saw that car parked in front of your house.
You know what's funny is that's my son's favorite song, and he loves the Ghostbuster decals. Anywhere he sees, he's like, Ghostbusters, Mom, Ghostbusters.
Cool.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, so.
Now, yeah, I know you had another story. I know that about it was your niece, right? Isn't that the one we just talked about? I had a question about that. When you gathered all of the people, where was she at? Was she still there and then she drowned after?
She wasn't with us. She was at her own home.
Oh, she was at her home. Okay, we missed that. We missed that spot.
No, I was camping with friends, and we were out in the middle of the woods, and we were in Florida, kind of like on the border of swampland. Okay. And she actually lived 2 hours north of where we were. Okay. And they were completely in a different town, and she was only 4 years old.
Okay, now and so, I understand now, but that little piece was missing out of that because I thought, well, if you're at the campground, wait a second, and I don't mean to kind of go backwards, everybody here, but
no, that's okay. That's okay.
If you were watching,
no, she was 4 years old. She had gotten up in the middle of the night while she was laying with her dad watching TV. He had fallen asleep. She had gotten up and walked to the front door, unlocked it. She unlocked the deadbolt and walked around the back of the house and drowned in their little pond in the back.
In a pond.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. So that now the story makes more sense to me. So you had a premonition is what you had, and you saw this, and then you freaked out at the campground. And then everything was cool and everyone was there, and then you left, and then you got a phone call about this. So
yeah, well, my mom got the phone call when I got to the house. She was just getting off the phone with the mom. Okay. And we were like, because that was her best friend. That was, my mom's basically like sister. And they were family. That was it. And so she was losing her cool. She was freaking out and called my mom, and I walked in right as the phone call was hanging up, and my mom was like, you need to sit down. And I was like, I knew it. I knew it. I knew something was wrong.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. Now, any other experiences like that you've had? Or, I mean, are you able to talk about them? Is it a sore subject, or, I mean?
No, it's fine. I mean, there's been tons of different times. When my grandfather died, he would come and visit me even after, while I was doing homework and stuff. He would kind of pop his head into my room and just kind of look at me and nod his head and walk away, He died from cancer when I was a kid, and I was at the hospital when he died, but he went very peacefully. And so he would check in from time to time and just kind of look over everybody and then leave. I've had times where, actually, when I was in high school, I had another empath next to me, actually, in class, and we both got a severe, I call it like a beam, and that's really all it is. It was like a hone-in from somebody else that had gotten into a car accident. To this day, I have no idea who that person was, but they definitely needed somebody to talk to. And she even said to me, she goes, this isn't for me, this is for you. You need to talk to this person. I could feel somebody freaking out. And I was like, yeah, me too, hold on. So she actually deterred the teacher while I literally just went into my own bubble and sat down and meditated into trying to talk to the person. Wow. And I tried to get as much information as I could. And even her and I afterwards, we colluded, and I was like, okay, so it was on this type of highway, this kind of brush, this is what was going on. Like, I don't know exactly who he was, but this is what I saw. And she was like, I'm going to look up the scanners tonight. Wow. And so she did. And she was like, actually, there was a couple different accidents, but I can't tell who was who. And I was like, it was somebody. God. They needed me, so it is what it is. She's like, no, I felt that. She's like, that was like a serious hone-in. And I was like, yeah, it gets like that, and it does.
You've had these experiences since you've been a child. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
So when you were a child, what did you do? Just see things? I mean, did this all come to you? I mean, most people don't understand, but it generally starts at a very young age.
Well, as children, we're open. As children, we're open, and we are more accepting of the energies until our parents say, you're crazy. No, that didn't happen. And they excuse everything off. So that's when we close ourselves off. My mom, on the other hand, was used to it because she had actually had stuff like that happen to her. So she kind of looked at it like, okay, what's going on? Talk to me. What do you see? What is it? What do you think? And so we would talk about it, and she'd be like, okay, well, just, let that energy slide. And we also had, at the time when I was a kid growing up, we had a neighbor that was an energy healer, and she was amazing. And she actually took me in, and she was like, you know what? You and I need to do some work. You and I need to do some energy healings. I want you to learn this. She's like, because you're very strong and you're very powerful, and you obviously are very in tune, and they are going to attack you, and you need to know how to bounce back. And I was like, okay. And so she taught me at a very young age how to do everything. And so she helped me tremendously in learning how to understand it, and at the same point, accept it and work with it and not be afraid of it. And even my mom did too. She was like, you just need to tell those energies, go away, not right now. I'm not in the mood for you. And once I did that, it helped a lot. I've seen them for years. I've worked with different energies constantly. There's been times where I went on vacation and we were in Sweden and it was gorgeous. And we were at this great big grand castle, and it was just so amazing energy wise on the outside. And the family that owned the castle was like, oh, we'll give you tours. And we would go and we're doing tours, and there was times where I'd freak them out. They'd be like, how do you know that? And have you ever been here before? I'm like, no, I just see the doorway right there. Or, yeah, I can smell his medicine and see him coughing. And they'd be like, he died 2 years ago. Like, how did you know that? And I'm like, I see the pill bottles next to the bed. I see the guy laying on the bed. I see him coughing and hacking, and I smell the medicine in the room. And they were just like, okay, nice. And like my mom later on, because they took me on the tour by myself, I met up with my mom, and she looked at me and she's like, so how was that? And I went, it was kind of scary. And she was like, what? I'm like, kind of freaky. Don't go on the third floor. And she was just like, okay, got it.
Don't go on the third floor.
We had a room on the outside that looked at the castle, and she had the windows open and everything was beautiful. And she's like, isn't it pretty? And I was like, can we close that when we go to bed? And she's like, why? And I'm like, because they're all staring at me right now, and it's really kind of creeping me out. So she'd be like, okay, got it, and she'd close everything off. So my family knew, like with my daughter, my son, they're the same way. My daughter sees it all the time. She sees them just like I do. So I work with her on it, and I teach her how to balance it. My son, he came straight out one day, and I mean, he was 3.5, almost 4. We went to go take him to the Titanic exhibit, which for me is always very emotional because the energy is attached to everything. And I've just never sat well with going to the Titanic. I really didn't. But we were homeschooling, and we wanted to teach my daughter about it and teach him, because he was only 3 at the time, about it. And we walked up to the outside, and there's a little model of the Titanic out there. And we didn't tell him anything about it. It was a surprise. And we walked up, and my son was 3, and he looked straight at it and was like, oh, mommy, look, there's the Titanic. We were on this when it sank. And my mom and I both stopped and looked at each other and were like, what? He goes, yeah, look, we were right here. This is where our room was. And this is right where it was when the iceberg hit.
Oh, wow.
And I just looked at him, and I was like, honey, how did you die? How did we die? And he goes, you didn't die. You got on a boat and you were okay. He goes, and I got on a boat too, and I was fine, but then it capsized, and then I drowned. And it was cold, and I was by myself.
So he said this.
And my mom and I were both like,
yeah, did he say this before you got to the exhibit, or right when you got to the exhibit, without even knowing what the Titanic was?
yeah, He said it
Wow.
before we even walked in.
That's amazing.
And I was just like, okay, so there's our past life. And I was like, so how do we know each other, baby? And I started asking him, and he goes, you were my wife, and we were together, and I was really upset when I had to leave you, but at least you lived. And I was like, okay. And he was like, I miss it when you were my wife. He's like, I loved you as my wife. You were an amazing wife, Mom. And I was like, okay, cool.
Okay.
I'm like, so next life together. Cool, let's do this. So it's just one of those, like, people brush it off all the time, but as children, we're open and we know what's going on. And there's multiple times where as parents, we've become so jaded that we shut it off for our children, and we turn off that faucet, and we literally shut them down, and we turn off the faucet so that they can't be open to it,
Right.
and then excuse it off and tell them they're crazy. And that's not what we should be doing in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, so we are at the 35-minute mark, and we know that you're really busy. So
Today's my busy day.
Why don't you just kind of wrap it up a little bit with one more real quick little, you were on a really good roll there. I'm losing my train of thought, but I'm over here getting kicked in the foot. So remember, we do one shoot. We don't edit, we don't do anything. So this is how it goes. So how about anything else that you would like to talk about? How about something for people to do or help, some with their kids, or not freak out?
The best thing I can say is that when your kids start showing that they are connecting, don't dismiss it off. Don't just say, okay, yeah, whatever, and think that, it's his little side creature or his imaginary friend or whatever. Start listening. Start looking at it. Think about it. Think about how it may interact. Start looking at the red flags too, because they show you red flags of if that energy is a good energy or not. And then you need to just start guiding them and telling them, like, look, honey, you need to tell this one, no, that's bad. And you need to show your better judgment, and you need to be strong, and you need to have a good, strong will to fight off the ones that are going to be negative. Because that's the hardest thing. As a parent, you constantly want to be there for your child, but the only way to really be there is to teach them. And that's what we're meant to do. We're meant to teach them. We are meant to take them forward. And the only way to do that is to really acknowledge what they are experiencing and seeing, and then looking at it prospectively from every angle, and then accepting that they might see things differently. And that was the biggest key that I learned a long time ago, of just accept it and understand it and try to help them navigate better on how to deal with it. And that's the hardest thing that most people don't know how to deal. We don't know how to cope. We don't know how to deal. So we immediately get scared, block it off, and then want it gone.
Right.
And we need to stop doing that.
Yeah, well, also, I think that there would be some books out if someone didn't understand, about this subject. I'm sure there's a ton of books in, and you can go on the internet and read about it. Like my son is seeing, you can put any search words and come out with something to learn more about it. So
yeah.
you have if someone isn't trained in this and doesn't really know, then they probably need some more knowledge. Like you had your healer next door who showed you, they kind of need their healer to show them.
Exactly. And that's it. It's just, we need to connect a little bit more. We need to build that network and connection and make it stronger. Because that's the only way that you can really move forward, is to connect harsher and more true, so that you're not blocking, you're now connecting in, and you're accepting that energy and you're pulling it together, and then you're also transferring energy back and forth so that we can help each other better. And that's really the biggest thing. Most people don't get that. And it's, especially right now with everything going on, the energy portals are insane. With everything that's going on with people as a whole on this whole planet right now, they're all afraid. And so they're blocking and they're trying to stay in their bubbles, but we need to stop that, and we need to embrace each other, and we need to rise up to the power that we have of connection and connect with each other on a whole new level. And that's the only way that we're going to move forward, because that's the biggest thing that will help us move forward. And listening to, it's kind of like the Pocahontas, listen to the ancestors, listen to the tree. It's like Avatar with the great tree of knowledge and life, and how Ewa was there to give the seeds and to show us the way and connected even with the animals. They will do that. And we are like that. We just don't realize it because we've been disconnected for so long.
Right. So as we're talking about it really quickly, because I know you need to go, about the fear that's going on right now, and I know this is a different subject, but not really. I know you talked about that. What can somebody do that doesn't know about this fear that they're having, or how to get into their bubble? Is there any like short version you could tell them, or a book to read or something to be able to
I tend to find that when you're really afraid of something, the best thing that you can do is sit down and do your inner work. Sit down and think about what it is that you're afraid of. Write it down. Write down exactly what it is. And then look at what it is. And then I want you to branch off from there and write down why you're afraid of that one thing. What is it that you're afraid of? And once you get down all of those fears and you get all of those listed, then I want you to write an opposite of what could be the better of it and why. Give yourself a second list, basically, of what the positives could be. And instead of looking at that negative and looking at that fear, start focusing on maybe the positive of what could change. And once you do that, it helps tremendously start to realize, you know what? I'm not going to let this fear be my bubble anymore. I'm not going to let this fear be my bubble. I'm going to live in the positive bubble, and I'm going to look at that positive bubble. And even though things go crazy and things get hectic and things get scary, I'm going to keep looking at that light bubble. And I'm going to keep thinking about that light bubble, and I'm going to keep looking towards the positive of this so that I can move forward in myself and my own energy without feeding that fear bubble.
Right. So
do you understand?
You're giving it, so you're giving it a negative on one side. You're writing about all your fears, and then you're going into the opposite of the positive, which is going to pretty much stop that process of that fear as you're looking at it. And then you need to just say, this is not what I'm going to deal with anymore, because I mean, there is a lot of fear going on, Britt, right now, and as that fear can take over your whole life, and it just becomes almost, it can get so bad to where you're having anxiety and panic attacks about it.
And I see it daily. People are freaking out constantly, and a lot of the time people will come to me like, oh my God, how can you do this? How can you stay open? And how can you not wear a mask? And how can you navigate through this with COVID? And I'm like, in reality, people die every day. In reality, we all get sick. In reality, this is the cycle of life. But on the bonus side, this is showing me the good people and who I really need to be around, and the people that really need my help. And this is showing me new connections that I wouldn't have had before that I needed to have. And this is showing me the people that need to come to me because I am here to lead them and help them. And that's it.
Well, what an awesome interview with you. I mean, I wish we had more time, but Friday the 13th, I know, but I mean, awesome stuff to give to people. I mean, you know so much that I don't even need to really talk. You know, I mean, ask a few questions here and there, but that was very informative and also very believable, which I like. And that's why I asked you to come on again, because I've heard your story. And, you know,
Yeah.
I said, you know, it's time for something really good here. And I knew that was kind of on the sideline for me to kind of pick and choose. Okay, I'll pick you. And you said yes. And I was like, yay, thank God. So we had Britt on today, and she had a fantastic story to tell. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And I just want to say thank you again for putting up with me by being not as timely as I always am, because normally I am timely. But and then
That's okay.
And then get this, as you always have, I had computer problems too, trying to pull it up. So it doesn't surprise me. But Zoom has been better today than Skype, so it's gone really well. And I could hear you the whole time. You weren't going in and out because the entities being in your house. I mean,
I didn't touch the phone either. As long as I'm not touching the electronics, they work much better.
And now you're making me sneeze. Okay, so we're going to let you go to work, and I just want to say thank you one more time.
Not a problem. Thank you, honey. You have a beautiful and blessed day, and you guys be safe and have a great one, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.